start tonight with this tragic story out of Armstrong Airport. An employee was killed late last night following an incident at work.
Her family says the incident has shaken the community and changed their lives forever. WDSU's Courtney Williams joins us now live from the airport with that story. Courtney.
Good evening, Gina. Sad story. The mother says she wished she never got the call that her daughter was gone, and she would do anything to hear her voice once again.
She said, "Mom, on my way to work." I said, "Okay, I'll see you when you get home."
But she never made it home. Jermani Thompson always seemed to have a basketball in her hands.
She was a basketball guru. She loved basketball. That was her thing.
Word quickly began to spread Tuesday night that the 26-year-old had been killed in an industrial accident.
The doctor said that her hair got stuck in the corvée, and they tried to. I want to say they said they tried to cut her hair, but they couldn't. She died on her way to the hospital.
Thompson, who was employed through GAT Airline Ground Support, was unloading baggage from a Frontier Airlines flight at about 10:20 p.m. Minutes later, her mother received the call.
I just dropped the phone and was screaming and hollering.
Mike Hugh, the CEO of GAT, says Thompson's hair apparently became entangled in the machinery of the belt loader. A co-worker of Thompson, who wanted to remain anonymous, spoke exclusively about what he witnessed.
We sitting there, we're seeing her hair on the ground, and we're not nobody's just trying to pass around about it, this flight still has to get out. We no, this is not funny. I can't get that image out of my head. She was just makes my mind, but we working with the girl every day, work long hours every day. It just doesn't seem real.
Now, late in the day, we did reach out to GAT Airline Ground Support and OSHA to see what procedures were put in place for incidents like these ones. For example, were employees mandated to keep their hair a certain way, and how many times was the equipment scheduled to be checked? But we haven't yet heard a response. But for now, reporting from New Orleans International Airport, Courtney Williams, WDSU News.
Okay, so y'all just heard that right there. And let me start off by saying, before I even get into the story, I offer my condolences to her family, her mother, her father, for this is one of those incidents that you don't hear every single day because it's like a freak accident. Usually when you hear someone's death, it could be a natural causes or, maybe unfortunately a murder of some sort. But this is one of those ones where you don't hear about it. When I first heard about it, I immediately thought of what in the Final Destination or what in the Saw is going on here. Of course, I'm referencing two films where incidents like this have occurred, but in movies. But this is actually not a unique story because this kind of stuff has happened and can happen and will continue to happen. Now, I can speak of this from experience, not in the sense of what happened with her, but because I used to work at an airport. And there are a lot of procedures that have to be followed, especially if you are a woman or if you are a man who has long hair or if you have locks or anything that's past a certain length, where you have to wear your hair in a ponytail or pull back in a bun of some sort where it's not dangling or falling in front of your face, because you never know what might actually occur when it comes to those type of things. Another image that comes to mind, and this actually did happen in real life, and y'all probably remember this, and this actually happened with Beyonce. There's a video online where she was performing at one of her shows, and she always has a fan. She always uses fans in her shows. And one time she kneeled down, I guess, to be near one of the fans. Well, not the fans that's blowing, but near the fans, her audience, and her hair got caught up in the fan. Now, it wasn't like a big giant fan or nothing like that, because that probably would have been catastrophic, but it was one of the little small mini fans. And, she was still performing, but it took her bodyguard and some other people to untangle her hair out of the fan while the fan was still moving. So she was very lucky in that regard. And also, I think what also helped her too is because, Beyonce wears a lot of wigs. So it wasn't caught up in her real hair. So if they said, Beyonce, we might have to pull your wig off to get you out of here, then that might actually be what it is. So she was lucky in that regard. But see, with her, it sounds like to me, I don't know if she was wearing a weave or she was wearing braids or something like that. If she was wearing braids, of course, that's braided into her real hair. So that's like pulling her actual hair. at the same time, which I can't even imagine what the scene looked like, because, you know, they said they tried to cut her hair, but by that time it was already too late. So it was probably pulling the follicles out of her scalp. Like just hearing that and just imagining that play out in my head of what actually happened and what that scene looked like, it probably looked like something out of a horror movie, for real. And I was looking at comments and it was like, I'm surprised many people didn't hear her. One thing y'all got to realize is working at an airport, it's really loud. And in certain places, you'll be surprised that some of the most quiet, the most quietest part of the airport is in the part where the people are at, like in the stores and whatnot. That's actually the more quieter part. When you're down in the area where she was at, which is probably where the planes are at, or in those areas outside, because I remember when I used to work, I didn't work outside, but sometimes I would have to take certain luggages down to the actual loading area because they were too big to fit on the belt. And it's loud down there because those engines are very loud. They give them earplugs. They give them headphones so they could shield their ears so their ears won't be ringing as much. It is loud. So if she was yelling for help, 9 times out of 10, it could have been a thing where her coworkers may not have heard her. So the only way they would have been able to know to respond to her is to look over in her direction. Just casually look over and see that she was in a situation, like she was dealing with something right there and she was obviously in pain. So that also plays a part in it as well. Now, like I said, hopefully this airport, at the very least this airline that she was working with, which is Frontier, had a policy in place with the hair of having their hair pulled back and pulled up. If they can look through their policy and there's nothing they're saying about that, then the family can look at a hefty lawsuit that they could take out against Frontier, for sure, a wrongful death lawsuit. If there is something there, which if they are smart and there is something there, I don't know what really the family is going to be able to do. They might be able to get something, but they may not get that much, because what they're going to try to do is say that it's her fault. They're going to say she knew the policy of the hair and not and wearing it a certain way that it should be worn, and she chose not to do it. Like, I can see them trying to do that, to avoid them having to suffer a major lawsuit. Don't get me wrong, this is still a very sad event that occurred, but at the same time, it definitely could have been avoided. That's why I said, if you're going to be working in any type of place where your hair has to be pulled back, please just do it. Especially also another place, the food industry. That is a given. If you work in a restaurant, no matter if it's fast food or a sit down establishment, if they say you have to wear your hair in a certain way, like in a hairnet, to avoid hair falling into the food, just do it. And also too, if you're working as a chef, why would you risk wearing your hair down, not only to prevent hair falling in the food, but if you're working over a stove where there are flames, what's the first place it could hit? Your hair. Now your hair is on fire. So you have to be very careful when it comes to how you wear your hair. This is very different from a hair discrimination suit, where I've talked about that plenty of times. That definitely was not the case here. This was just a freak accident. Her hair got caught into the mechanism, and this is what ended up happening. And the thing is, they couldn't get to her in time. By the time they got to her, they said we could have cut it, but it was too late. But at the end of the day, it's still a very sad incident that happened that definitely could have been avoided. I know her family is dealing with a lot right now. It's crazy. And she was so young. She was only 26. She was just doing her job. And it's so cryptic, you know, hearing that the last words she gave to her mother was, "I'm going to work. I'll see you when I get home." Only to know that those would be the last words that her mother would ever hear her daughter tell her. She wasn't making it home. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end the video on that note. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comment section. Hit that subscribe button if you are new. Have the bell turned on to be notified. I upload my videos in Premiere format, so in case the bell is not working for you, just click the notification button that will be located either in the bottom left or the bottom right of the thumbnail, and you should receive the notification that way. The links will be in the description. I'll talk to you in the next one.